welcome guests, members, friends. I'd like to thank our many guests here tonight because I know that there are many things that you could be doing on a Thursday night in Westchester. There are all sorts of events here, and you chose to come here. So thank you. We really appreciate it, and I'm thrilled to see you. So I'd also like to welcome some new members that we have here this evening, and they are Amy Cohen, who is a project manager with Levy Dam and Company, a real estate project management firm and owner's representative in New York City. Welcome, Amy. And we also have with us Dorff and Nelson LLP, a national law firm with offices here in Harrison, and we welcome the attorney Mark Graham and Laura Alcott over here, who are friends of ours. And I also think that Jonathan Barron is here. Jonathan Barron? Barron Designs, perhaps?
Not here yet, ma'am.
Okay, very good, okay. So, tonight we're here to listen to the stories of 5 people who breathe a rarefied air. When you consider the broad totality of the United States construction and building industry, there aren't many of you nationwide, let's face it, or not. But Westchester and the New York City metro area generally is somewhat of an anomaly. It's not highly unusual, as we can see, to meet women who are architects, many of you here, project managers, and even engineers in our circles. So women are simply graduating with degrees from professional schools at increasing rates all the time, which is a wonderful thing. So it is, however, still rare to see females in the trades on the ground at a job site. So instead of pounding you with statistics, which is what I was going to do at this point, I changed my mind. And I think it's more appropriate to tell you my very short story of glancing acquaintance that I had with construction. And then you will tell your stories to us. So I lived across the street in a basement apartment, not 30 feet from the truly colossal construction site of the South Mall in Albany, New York, which many of you I'm sure are acquainted with. So imagine the pile driver that was unceasing and those gorgeous white marble slabs that were hoisted up on the sides of the agency buildings. What an amazingly huge project. The dirt, the grime, the constant noise, and walking back and forth, for all of that time over those years, it was awesome. Now that is where that word really belongs. That project was awesome. And of course today, if you approach Albany from any direction, what do you see? You see this Oz rising up from the flatlands of the Capital District. I lived in a street adjacent to the mall for many years after that, and it's a beautiful place. So anyway, that's my one glancing experience with construction. And the other part of it for me was my brother, Rick Collins. He was also a mentor for me. And after serving in Korea for a couple of years, he came back home and he worked construction laying down the roadbeds on the interstate highway system west of Cleveland. And then he worked in the steel mills of Lorain, Ohio. And eventually he went on to become a landscape designer and did award-winning work in Shaker Heights, Ohio. So that is my story of not how I came here, but the sort of simpatico thing that I now have with those of you who are in the industry. So I'd like to welcome you, and we have Hillary Messer, who is the sales and marketing manager at Sunrise Building and Remodeling, whom I have very personal experience with. They remodeled my house 26 years ago. An amazing job.
Thank you.
I won't say how. It only took 3 months to do 1,500 square feet, a kitchen, 2 bathrooms. It's unbelievable. And Victoria Bruno is the business development manager at King's Capital Construction. And Francine Camardella is the owner of FC Contracting, Cornerstone Contracting, pardon me, and Stacey Tompkins of Tomkins Excavating. Stacey is the principal, and Laura Sidel, project manager. Karen Sidel, project manager at Murphy Brothers Contracting. So the first question and thing that we'd like to hear about is your story. like, how did you come into this industry? What was your path? And that's part one of the question. Part two is, was there a mentor of any kind? Was there someone whom you may have considered your mentor or not? So you can take it away, Hillary.
Hi. Oh, okay. Are we using this? Does it work? Okay.
Yep, there you go.
I got it. Hello. Hi. I just have to say, it's really nice to look out and see all the women who came to support us. So thank you. That is so wonderful. And it's just really amazing to see how many women came out for this, so thanks. As Maggie said, I'm Hillary Messer, and I have been working with my husband Eric at Sunrise Building for myself over 20 years. The business is over 30 years old. I came out of college with a marketing and sales degree, and I was initially in public relations and ended up in a very male-dominated industry that many years ago, right after graduation. I jumped into advertising sales, and my resume, don't ever let anybody tell you your resume doesn't matter, because at the bottom I had under my hobbies fishing. And I really did like to fish. It was just a strange thing, but I put it on there, and that is how I got the first job, working for Bassmaster magazine. I sold advertising and put together marketing packages, and ended up working at Bassmaster, sport fishing, Southern and Western Outdoors, shooting sports retailer, fishing tackle retailer. So I guess it wasn't that surprising when I ended up, after many years in that business. I had 2 children. I met her, we got married, and I didn't want to travel as much. I traveled quite a bit. And we sort of looked at each other and we said, let's try working together. So I went back to school. I took construction estimating and blueprint reading, and Eric was really my mentor, because I learned what I learned in school, and then he literally taught me how to estimate, and how to, in my mind, not physically, but in my mind, build a house from the ground up. So I used those skills, and I ended up doing most of the estimating for any large plans that came in from many of the architects that I see here tonight. So thank you. And I also continued in my role as marketing and advertising director. So here I am today.
Hello, I'm Victoria. I manage new business development for King's Capital Construction. I've been doing this for 2.5 years. I do want to thank everyone for coming out, but I especially want to thank Maggie and the BRI for thinking of us. It's very exciting. It's my first panel. Similarly to Hillary, I have a communications background. I worked in media before construction. I was bored before, so I needed some excitement. I actually applied for King's as a project coordinator. It took me a week actually to decide if I was actually going to move forward in construction, because I was like, am I really going to do this? I have no idea what's going on. But I was a media coordinator for radio promotions, so I figured, show me the ropes, I'll make sure it gets done. So after a week I applied, I was asked in for an interview. I interviewed with one of our 2 principals, J.D. Suma. His partner is Mike Casarella. They're both here tonight, which is thanks for the support, guys. J.D. leads our GC division. Mike runs our site development. So when I met with J.D., he reassured me that I could manage the coordinator position, but he really told me that he saw potential, thought I was a great communicator, something special, so he offered me business development. I actually didn't believe him at first. I made him shake my hand twice. But yeah, here we are today, and I'm really happy to be here. So as far as mentoring, JD and Mike have been excellent. They taught me everything I know. The team at King's helps me with the verbiage, the different trades. I never realized how many engineers were involved in a project between civil and architectural. So it's very exciting. I'm not bored ever. And I'm happy to be here. So thanks, guys.
I have to put this down because I do talk with my hands. My name is Francine Camardella, and I am a general contractor, and I've been in business myself since 2010. And I grew up in sawdust instead of a sandbox. My father was a contractor, my grandfather was a contractor, and my toys were nails and a hammer. And that's the way it was. But when I got married, my husband and I ran a landscaping and garden center. So I kind of came away from the construction part of it, and I was in that business, our own business, for 28 years. When in 2010, I started doing some bookkeeping for a contractor and a plumber, and I have an accounting degree. So I started doing some bookkeeping, and I found out I felt like I was home when I was working for the contractor. I'd go on all the jobs. I felt like these are my jobs, and I could do this. So I took classes in green building. I got LEED certified. I got lead abatement certified. I got OSHA certified. I got licensed in New York City, Westchester County, Connecticut. I'm a woman-owned company, certified. So, and it's been great. I mean, it was tough the first year. I didn't think I would get any business, but I did. And I think that I do my research and I bring something to the table that not everyone can because I'm a woman. And that's really basically it. My mentor, I would have to say, was my dad. He built a house by himself. Growing up, we were there with him, helping him. My mom hung shingles for my dad, and nailed shingles to the house. So we all learned, and I have my siblings all know how to do things for themselves, like they do all their home improvement for themselves. So it's just wonderful, and I love the business.
I love that you said that, because if you haven't seen this week's New Yorker cover, this is for Father's Day, and there's Dad under the sink with his little girl with the...
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's great. But you have to get this in frame it.
Absolutely, I will. And I pray to my dad every night. I wish he was here, that he could still mentor me. So that's my story.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting us here, and this is really, truly amazing to see all these women here, and thank you, Mandy, and everybody else that has invited us here. Some of our stories are a little bit similar. I always say I didn't wake up and say I want to be in the excavation and construction business. I just didn't, When I was a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian or a nurse, that was what I wanted to do. So I went to college and majored in food and business. I was always in the food industry, and out of college, I landed an unbelievable job. I was hired with zero experience over the person that should have had the job. So I was this child, 22 years old, and I was managing the food service for Tompkins, which was in Long Island. And the gentleman that hired me said, "You're just going to do this or not. I see something in you. I see leadership." And that was really, to me, it's leadership and managing. And I went on to work for Goldman Sachs and Bear Stearns and run their food service. And then I met my husband, who's here, Remark, and I have a son here, Justin. And he was in the landscaping business, so he needed help. So I was not happy with what I was doing in the corporate world. I felt it was very cutthroat and people wanted my jobs, and if there was a need, so I said, okay, I quit my very successful job with great benefits. I don't think my father was very happy with that because he was a 9-to-5 person, and the money I was making and the benefits I had were unbelievable for that time, which is probably 30 years ago, 28 years ago by now. So long and the short of it, I have 3 children raised, and this was very involved in the school community, but always involved with the business. And then there was a certain, always involved in, little bits. But as my children got older, I decided that it was something that I really wanted to be involved with because I knew I had a great leader. I felt like I had a good leadership skills. And to me, it's really just leading and building and growing a company, and it's not necessarily having to know exactly how to operate an excavator or machine. I'm licensed septic systems in Putnam, Westchester, OSHA, all those things that have to happen. But we've just, trying to build a company. And as a mentor, I look back and I looked at that question, and we're talking about male industry and women, and all my mentors were men. And I married and had 3 boys. So I feel like I was just meant to be in a man's business. All my bosses were men before this. No, right, exactly. But when I was in the food service business, there were 2 women, and I had 40 people that I had to oversee, and they were all men. They were all men. So it was just sort of, excuse me? That is changing. This is, again, a long time ago, but that's why we're here, and we're breaking through the glass ceiling and hopefully being able to set, different standards and expectations for people in our industry. And then the other mentor would be my mom. My mom, she always just was very supportive of us and always told us to fight for what you believe in and don't take no for an answer and ask a lot of questions. That's my story.
Hi, I'm Karen Sidel. I'm a construction project manager at Murphy Brothers Contracting. I started out as an architect. I went to New York University and got a bachelor's degree in Italian art history, and then went to Washington University in St. Louis and got a master's in architecture. So my history is predominantly in architecture. I did this for about 18 years. I still consider myself an architect, but now I'm on the builder side. And the transition happened, I would say, about 2.5 years ago, when it became quite clear to me that I really didn't know how to build a building, really. So I left architecture and worked for a contractor in Norwalk. Stayed there for 2 years and transitioned over to Murphy Brothers recently. I am working on an incredible project. It's a horse farm. I don't know if I'll ever do it again because 60% of this project is in the ground. A lot of engineering, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. There is a fire suppression system. As you know, there are a lot of horse farms where horses aren't surviving these horrible fires. So we have an incredible engineering aspect to this project. My dearest friends are still architects. I still consider half of my brain architect and the other half builder. But as I'm getting older, I'm realizing my temperament is more builder. I have less tolerance and patience for the architecture side, which is wonderful. Designing is fantastic, but I think getting stuff done is more my temperament. And I still use the architecture. In fact, the architects on this project I'm working on, who designed this project, are my friends because I used to work with them. So once a week, we get together in the trailer on the job site, and we work as a team. And I insist that we work as a team. And it's really refreshing because it's not common to work that way. My mentors. I would say my first mentor I'd like to mention is my first architecture boss. He is very talented, but he had that no BS quality, which is kind of rare in an architect, because architects usually are very, let's design, we do this and that. And he's like, no, we have deadlines, and this has to get done. My second mentor is my partner. I have a co-PM on this project because it's so vast, and he is, we'll call him a hybrid. He has that mentality of the old school, and I don't mean any disrespect to any of the gentlemen in this room, but the old school mentality of a contractor, and yet he's got the younger mentality. He's incredibly respectful of women. We talk and share almost everything related to the project in the trailer and on the job site. And when there's a challenge outside, he says, get out here and we're going to work through this together. So it's really remarkable and refreshing to have that aspect in a partner. And that's my story.
Well, being the Christian that I like to think I am, when I heard your work about the horse farm, I said, that must be a tremendous project, very rewarding, because it's, that ain't hay. Anyway. All your stories are very fascinating, very interesting. And, in your positions, we were kicking around questions, whatever, and we were just kind of curious. And it doesn't have to be in any particular order. You can tackle it as it comes to you. What was the biggest challenge you faced, or what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing?
Bathroom facilities on job sites.
I'm sorry?
Bathroom facilities on job sites.
Bathroom facilities on job sites.
And keeping a manicure.
I was going to say 40 cents for the first one, but I didn't know about the manicure.
I think in my position, it's getting skilled labor.
Yes.
Yes.
Use the microphone.
Skilled labor is the challenge. So it's just that I think that there's not enough masons and people to do that sort of work. And then in my business, it's weighing the scales. Like, I'll get spurts of business and then get a little dry spell, and then I worry about my employees not, having work. So that's how
I think I agree with you with skilled labor, but I feel like what we've done with our company and the culture that we've built, we've been really tackling that, and I've had a few people that have left us and come back. About 5 this year that left and came back because they felt, because of what we're doing in our culture and what we're giving to them in benefits and support and team building and meetings. And so I do agree, though, that we do have a whole shortage of skilled labor, but that's probably a whole other 2-hour conversation. I agree. I would say one of our challenges right now is really just dealing with the paperwork and the bureaucracy and things that are changing from town to town and minute by minute, and paperwork and their procedures and what they're expecting. And I'm finding I'm doing a lot more, unfortunately, of being administrative, handling than being able to be out in the fields and doing what we need to do. And that has become an enormous challenge for us on a day-to-day basis, every day. It's something different in each town. So it's between the state, your county, and then your town to have to know, and each has their nuances and what they're expecting and what they want, and you need to know it, or you have an issue, and the paperwork that goes with that. So I think that's immediate challenges. I mean, there's many, but that's, I think, for us particularly an immediate challenge.
So, because I had no construction background, JD and Mike knew that by hiring me it would be a little bit of a learning curve. So, I think that the biggest challenges that I have faced in the industry so far is really having to learn quickly to be taken seriously. I work in a fast-paced industry at the capacity of a commercial level, knowing that the repetitive conversations, the relationship building, being younger and newer to the industry, I'm meeting with developers, architects, engineers with 30 plus years of experience. We have a substantial amount of experience in different ways too, but because I'm trying to be the face of King's Capital with construction booming in Westchester County, I want us to have a name here. So knowing what I'm talking about, learning quickly, like I said earlier, the trades, the verbiage, the project schedules, it's very important. So I want to say on top of labor shortages, learning the industry, knowing what I'm talking about, being taken seriously. Yeah.
I'll add on to being taken seriously. Because I think as a woman, I know the first 5 years that I began working with Eric, and I was going out to the job site to do the estimate and meeting all the subcontractors. I was very unexpected to see a woman on the job site and doing a walkthrough. And I think that was probably the hardest group to crack, were my subcontractors, my electrician, my HVAC contractor, and my plumbing contractor, and certainly my knowledge level of those trades was not as great as theirs, but I think over the years I earned their respect by staying on top of them and learning from them, definitely, but also they saw me in the sales part of the job. And I, because we had the client there, and the client would often be doing the walkthrough, the architects would often be doing the walkthrough, and I knew how to sell. And they couldn't have the communication that I had with the wife, or the wife and the husband team, or the wife and the architects, and it took a long time to earn the gentleman's respect, but eventually I did, and I think I earned it through showing them that, there is a way to approach a homeowner from a woman's perspective that makes the relationship much more relaxed. And frankly, I tried to turn what the subs were saying into the English language so that the client could understand. Well, he meant by that, your sub panel will need to be replaced because they don't make those thingies anymore. And I know it sounds silly, but taking it to a level where you could really communicate with the homeowner, and it was a woman talking to you, and the homeowner didn't feel so stupid. And maybe I knew what the right name was, but maybe it was just a great way to talk. So I think earning the respect of the subcontractors was the best glory that I had in the beginning. So
Earning respect, making them feel comfortable too.
And having to work extra hard, twice as hard as anyone else, to let people know that you were capable to do that job. Want to say something?
Okay. So I just wanted to add one thing regarding the industry. I think it's changing because for me personally, I work in a trailer every day on the job site with my partner. And so every day on a daily basis, there are subs who come out. We're in the middle of timber framing, and we're going to go into framing, and all the roughs are in the ground right now. So we've had a series of subs come out. They're predominantly, I would say, my age and younger, and they're all men. They are all men. So every day I know I'm going to have a team of at least 20 guys out in the field, and I have to go out there in my hard hat, and my walkie, and my steel-toed boots, and they have to take me seriously. And I want to tell you, it's all about confidence. When you walk out of the trailer, you better feel confident, because they're going to see it, and they're going to feel it, and if they can take advantage of you, they're going to try. So I take a deep breath. Okay, Karen, I can do this. I don't know anything about cisterns, but I know. And it's a lot, and you all know this. Presentation is half of it. You have to feel comfortable and confident with who you are when you go out there, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your profession is. So I feel the difference happening. It's just for women out in the field in construction, I think it's just going to take a little longer. Thank you.
On the point, and you brought up some interesting aspects of your respective challenges. More than a few of you have mentioned the labor shortages. In that very spot, back in November of last year, we had a panel that was at least beginning to, it was really, we hadn't addressed it in a while, the labor shortages in the Hudson Valley in the construction industry. And we had a gentleman from BOCES, which is clearly a part of the solution in terms of the training on the high school level, certainly, and college level, post-high school level. And we had a couple of our builder members, and we had the Service Employees Union on the building maintenance side. And it's a real serious issue facing the industry. I've been in discussions with my colleagues Jeff and Maggie on ways in which maybe we can reach out to, with your help, with members of the building community, and reaching out to the educational institutions in the county, like the community college, to help with the to fast track training in the various building trades. So it's a point well taken and appreciated. You'll be hearing more from us on that, and we'll be tapping you for some help in that regard. We talked about challenges, specific decisions. What was the toughest decision, or plural decisions, that you've had to make in your position?
We talked about that in the car coming down here a little bit, and every day is tough decisions in a business, making what is one. And for me personally, I think making the final decision that this is really where I was going to dig my heels in and do this and do it 110% and put that commitment in. I think that was one major decision that I made about 7 years ago, to do this and become ownership and full owner and really take this company in a different, better direction. I also think that there was a point in 2011 that when the economy was turning and we were just putting our heads against the wall, like, okay, we may have to close this business, because we didn't know what to do. It was just, we didn't know, there's no book that goes along with this, and we really were at a point of, the business really wasn't there. It was tough to, we had employees that had been there for a very long time, but they were very entitled. It was just an ugly situation, and we made a decision to hire business consultants. And I don't know if that was a tough decision, but it was a turning point and a tough decision to say, do we want to close the doors, or do we want to just really put 110% into this and figure a way out? And we branded, we remarketed. Should we change the name? It was Tompkins Landscaping forever. And that's how everybody knew us. Do you change that name? We didn't do landscaping at all. Hadn't done it in years. And we went through a long process of changing the name and rebranding. And 8 years later, nobody knows this is Tompkins Landscaping anymore. It's Tompkins Excavating, which is great. So it's worked. But there's been a lot of those major decisions that happened.
So in effect, your biggest decision was a rebirth. You just remade yourself.
Yes.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah, it was. And again, for me personally, is this really what I want to do with my life? And and it was yes, because it works, and it's a great decision, and I'm happy with it. But again, I'm sure every single one of these ladies, every single minute of every day is a tough decision.
Mine was continue to work for someone or start my own business, because I knew if I had to take that leap, it was going to be a tough thing to do. So that was my toughest decision in business.
Before I answer your question, actually, I was just wanting you to know, Albert, that one of our project managers, John Roach, he teaches a class at Westchester Community College. So it might be something that would be advantageous later on. As far as tough decisions, I do have to agree, deciding, like I said, it took me a week before I applied for the position. It was the name of our company that was really the most attractive at the time, but now that I'm here at King's, it's very exciting. But really, my tough decisions, balancing my work schedule, deciding how and where to spend my time most advantageously. I want to be in front of developers, architects, engineers, zoning and land use attorneys. Want them to not only respect me in the industry, but I want them to feel comfortable with us. We're a younger company, but we're capable of all of the same services and abilities as the larger names in the industry. We still perform our own site work. You know, we own our own trucks and machinery. We have our GC side, and we offer CM services as well. So building relationships is how King's grew to what it is today. I'm very lucky to be a part of the team. 2.5 years, I'm just trying to continue building those relationships. So it's who do we want to work with? New Rochelle, White Plains, Yonkers, all of these big-time developers are coming, multifamily, mixed-use developments. You know, I know this is a question coming up, but you know, we're trying to keep up. We're onboarding senior executives with their own 30+ years of experience in high-rise superstructure, New York City experience. So we just want to know where we should be and who wants to work with us too. It's really added value on both sides.
Well, my biggest challenge was really deciding if it was worth the risk to start working with my husband. We've heard so many nightmare stories about couples working together, and I had my own very successful career in advertising, sales, and marketing, and we really struggled, and I have to say, it's been an amazing ride. It's made us closer than ever. We never run out of things to talk about because, you know, if he's late because he had to do a presentation to somebody at night and it goes long, I always know I should like ring the phone to let him know that I know he's running really late. It's 9 o'clock. Let's get those clients moving. So I call. We have this simpatico relationship, and we always divided and conquered. And you know, I stayed doing marketing and estimating, and then we would get together and review the bid. But it was a very scary time to think about changing careers and then also going to work, you know, in one business. So, you know, no two separate incomes. Your incomes are now, you know, locked together. But I was very fortunate. My husband is a very patient man and an amazing teacher, and I credit him for all of our success in our company.
Okay, so for me, it was switching from architecture into construction. And I leave what I've spent most of my career doing for something else that I don't know very well at all. And the answer is yes, because I just basically took the architecture with me over to the building side, which is known as the dark side. And I'm learning more now on the construction side. So a typical day is having a sub come in and ask me a question about the site, but you always have to go back to the drawings and reference them for whatever you're doing, and it's great. I can do both. I'm using both sides of my brain right now. Thank you.
Karen, you have to answer the question next first.
Yeah.
You're laughing every time so far.
What's the next question?
The question was the toughest decision.
That was the toughest decision.
Just one tough decision.
That was the toughest.
Well then, if that's the case,
Yeah.
then I'm going to turn over the ultimate decision, question, or the penultimate question, and the wrap-up to my colleague, Maggie Collins.
So those were all really candid addresses to us, and it was really interesting to hear. And you're just really honest again. It's very much appreciated. So the last piece of it is the road ahead and women in leadership. Does it matter? Why does it matter? And it can just be if you think it matters, and why it matters. Leadership in your industry, and then Of course, that translates to lots of.
Sorry.
So, yeah, in construction, it's really hard. From my perspective, where I'm out in the field, and I've already mentioned the majority of men I'm surrounded by on a daily basis. I do overall, though, think the tone is changing. I think they're aware of the fact that women out in the field are not really going to tolerate the honey, sweetie way of speaking to us. I don't tolerate it at all on my job site when they're chatting and some inappropriate comments come up, and they do, they're guys, sorry. I'm trying to be disrespectful. Most of the time I just have to get a look. It's the glare, and that's it. I just think it's going to take a long time. I hope not too long, but it takes generations. I think they have to realize that we're serious. They have to realize that they need to change their way of speaking and be, as Victoria said, respectful. It's all about respect and getting the job done and being a team player. Thank you.
That's okay.
I failed to mention that we've also built houses, and we've built over 40 houses, and I've pretty much GC'd every single house. So I have been involved in every aspect as well with the job sites and the men and the respect and where does that lead for women in leadership. And I feel, I honestly have to stand up here and say that I think I have the respect of everybody that's on the job sites. And I've earned that, and I've worked hard at that. I have the respect of building inspectors that tell me that when they sent an assistant to come in, and the building inspector, I don't want to mention names, when I saw him later, he said, my assistant wanted to know if you were the wife. Because I was there doing the inspection. And the building inspector said, oh no, she's the deal, she's the decision maker, and you deal with her. So when you hear that from a building inspector, you know that you've earned the respect and you know what you're talking about and what you're doing. So I'm very proud of that little story that I needed to share that. So women in leadership in whatever role that they are, and I feel that if you're an engineer in construction, and yes, we have a long way to go, but we need people to mentor the young women that are coming up, and or even younger or our own peers, and to work with them and help them to blaze those trails and earn that respect and have the confidence to continue what we're doing. We need more women in this industry. So I think we have a long way to go, but I do feel that we've come a long way at the same time. So I don't like to stand up here and say, whoa, me, whoa, woman, at all. That's not, I think it's just a matter of who you are, and you need to earn that respect whether you're a man or a woman.
I feel the same way. I think it's so important for women to get out there and break that sheetrock ceiling, not the glass ceiling, because we give a different perspective than men. We analyze things differently. There's so much more we can bring to the table, and we just have to fight to keep it up and keep doing it. And, it's important. There's not one CEO in science, technology, math, not one woman CEO in any of those companies. I think we should do it in construction. We would be the first.
I'm going to hold this.
Go ahead. I'm not.
That's not a true
You don't think
statement.
that's a true statement?
No.
Aspetta.
Several.
Signore,
In the construction industry, out of
We'll take questions.
10 million people who work in it, only 9,000 are women. So it's like 8-point-something% are women in the construction industry. And most of them are in sales, in the office, and not actually out in the field.
That's right, 45% are in sales in the office. women in construction, 45%.
Out of that 9,000.
31% are professional management.
It's a very small amount because we don't have shop or any mechanical drawing or drafting in high school anymore. It's all computer classes now. So that, they did away with that. And there's really no way for young girls to learn about the industry. There's really nothing out there for them.
I'm going to say, you guys took the words right out of my mouth, actually.
Well, you should have went
first. Totally fair. But to add on, women in construction is important, not only on the executive level, but in the field too. JD Mike will tell you, I am dying to drive an excavator, okay? I swear, I want to be a flagger one day. But at the same time, you know, we can bring a different perspective. You know, we're a little bit more gentle sometimes. So, yes, it's very important. I mean, this panel, the first time it's ever happened, right? It's just a glimpse in the direction and the shift in culture that the world is going. I went to Iona, so I'm all about moving the world. But it's clear, you know, we're being thrown in the respect aspect, but I think that they would like it.
I'm just curious, I would identify a couple of traits that females have, perhaps, that you bring to the work that is, one of the words that I kept reading, and I know is true, is collaboration. You don't define that, but I certainly do, bringing everybody into the conversation and not being autocratic, top-down, bossy, I guess you would say.
Also
But
perspective.
there are these traits that are identified with females, and collaborative is certainly one of them. Listeners, good listeners.
I'll wrap it up quickly because it's all about role models, and we have so many role models in this audience and in this panel. When I started 20-something years ago, there were no role models. There was nobody, no one that I knew who was doing what I was doing. And I think women, it wasn't, you know, in school, it has to start really early, it has to start in school, it has to start in BOCES instead of, you know, the alternative career being hairdressing, which is that's what women are directed to. They need to be redirected, that there are other opportunities, and, you know, given examples and role models.
It would help with the labor shortages.
Right, it would.
3 to 1, right?
Professional Women in Construction, National Association of Women in Construction, you do have your organizations, and they are really working hard to bring women to the job site, the professions and in the trades.
Well, we've gotten, this really is the very first program we've had of this, and can you all hear me? Because I'm going to leave the mic.
Here, Alfred, you want to?
No, I'm going to leave the mic with Maggie. If you all can hear me. Every once in a while, Jeff here? Jeff and I will invade the storage area that we have, and we'll find these artifacts from a distant past. And one of the artifacts that we find, I haven't framed them because it was a different time, and not that they're bad photographs, and they're clean photographs, by the way. But we came across pictures of the Home Builders Beefsteak, Rye Ridge Park in Hartsdale, 1952 or something, right? And all men. And
Khakis and white shirts, right?
all men, just not one gal in the entire photo. And the beefsteak party of 1957 and 1962, all men. Jeff and I have kind of presided over a gradually changing, and this is a good thing, a gradually changing board of trustees, where it used to be a handful of women, great women, engineers and architects and builders, but very few. And I'm happy to say that over these many years, with a terrific staff making it possible, with the meetings and the services and the attention that we are able to give to the industry and to all of you members. I would say we're about maybe about a 55-45 split on our board, our own board of trustees in terms of men and women, which I think is great. There was something mentioned here about leadership that, men or women, it's a matter of character, I think, and I think we've heard a lot of character and a lot of determination here. And somebody said, and forgive me, I was listening, but I'm not sure who said it, I think more than one of you said it, that I think whether it be man or woman, it's the ability to listen and get the very best out of your colleagues. And then you make the right decision, or you do your best to make the right decision. I think that's decision making. And it's decision making, and that paradigm becomes a role model for everyone that you work with. So I have to say that, again, speaking on behalf of my colleague Jeff, that I have to say we work with 3 remarkable women in the office.
That's nice.
And you notice they have the majority. It's 3-2, 60-40. And Jane Gill, our controller, and Margie Telesco, and Maggie Collins. Somebody else mentioned the intangibles, the intuition, that insight that Jeff and I bring history. I mean, Jeff even more so, but we bring easily a 30-plus year history to any given day, 35. And, combined, 50. Oh my God. All right, you didn't have to up it that much. But we bring the history and we bring the, kind of the experience. But I have to say that those gems of insight and suggestions and a better way to do things or how to tackle something do come from these wonderful women in the office. So we benefit from it, and in turn, I think it's demonstrated in many of the programs and events that we're able to provide. So I'm going to leave you with that before we go to questions, and I'm going to leave you with a movie quote. 2 movie quotes. The 50th anniversary of the electric light. The great inventor of the electric light, Spencer Tracy, the actor. Thomas Edison, but he was portrayed by Spencer Tracy. He was talking about leadership, and he was talking about character. And the speech was, what man's mind can conceive, man's character must control. Now, of course, man was the universal description for everybody. But I think there's a lot of truth in that. That I think what we may be lacking is we've got a lot of conceiving out there and a lot of ideas, a lot of tech, a lot of things going on, but I think the character has got to catch up to it, whether it be men or women. And the other quote I want to share with you is from a delightful battle of the sexes, if I'm allowed to say that, called Adam's Rib. Now, I don't know if anybody knows that movie, but Adam's Rib, I think, is one of the best collaborations. I must be on a Spencer Tracy kick tonight. Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. And they're both lawyers, very accomplished professionals, and they're rivals. But at the end of the movie, they basically kiss and make up. And Spencer Tracy says, "Vive la différence." And of course, Katharine Hepburn is supposed to be very sophisticated. It's one line in the movie I don't understand, and she says to him, "What does that mean?" Of course, even I know what that means, and I don't speak French. And she says, "Well, what does that mean?" And he says, "Thank God for this little difference between us." So I'm going to end it on that. Thank God for this little difference, this wonderful difference, complementary and sometimes antagonistically between us.
No.
We're going to go. No, I'm only kidding. Questions. Pazienza, patience, cortesia. We're Italian, so, okay. Stand up, identify yourself so they can send you some poison pen letters.
Hi, my name is Gene DeRosta.
Articulate.
Articulate louder. My name is Gene DeResta. I'm going to speak in my capacity as a professor at NYU for a very specific reason. I'm a professor of engineering, and one of the objectives for the university is to bring more women into the field of engineering. So the challenge is, how do we attract young women, high school girls, to be specific, to apply to an engineering school? Once they're there, comes the next question. There's always an intimidation where we group the students together in teams to solve problems. And there's cultural differences, especially if you have Indian, Arab, and they resist the notion that a woman could be the team leader. How do you teach the girl to be aggressive, to become that A-type person that is necessary for them to succeed in what is still a very male, predominantly dominant?
Send them to an all-girl high school. An all-girl high school. Or a women's college. Let me tell
Actually,
you.
Jean, I think you're seeing a tremendous amount of effort in the school districts to promote the STEM, science, technology,
Engineering, math.
engineering and math, and there is a big push in, I mean, I certainly know in Briarcliff School District where my kids went, they're long gone, but there's a tremendous push towards getting girls particularly involved in the sciences and maths at an earlier age, and I think that just goes to, you know, once they're comfortable with their knowledge, you become more confident and you become more comfortable. And when there's other role models around you and you see other women trickling into the fields, it too will come. It will come to pass. But with regard to teaching them to be more dominant, I'm not sure that that's necessary. I think that'll come with comfort in what they know and where they're working, and I think that comes with time and experience. I don't know that you could teach it if it's a cultural,
Right.
you know, it sort of just, they have to overcome it.
Just quickly, you know, I'm a little different actually, because, no, the thing is that, you know, it was how I was raised actually. I come from a very Italian family, all boys, you know, there are girls, but it was be bullied or bully back. So I don't know if I was just born and raised aggressive and I just found my niche. But, you know, just making women feel confident and letting them know that they're equal. Not that they should be pushed back or feel like they're only good enough to do hair and nails. You know, if you instill that they can do anything that they put their mind to, then they will.
Right.
No, that's okay. The reason it's funny that you bring that up, and I'm going to put Stephanie right under the bus over there. She's been dating my son for the last 4 years, and she is studying chemical engineering. So there is a woman in the room at Lafayette College going into her junior year. So I need to just pass that on because I could not pass that up because she's sitting there. And she is an unbelievable role model for young women and from her parents and from maybe being around people like me, I'm not sure or not, but I think that has, you know, and the schools and whatnot, and I do agree, you can't really teach somebody that. I think we have to foster and encourage it in the classroom with, you know, what's going on, and some of it is just personality of what's happening, but you know, it's nice to see that it is a very small amount of women in engineering, but it is nice to see that we have one in the room right there.
Well, I actually have a question for you as a professor. You see this happening in your classroom. What do you say to these women? Do you meet with them privately, you know, one-on-one to talk about it, or
Yes, I do. This is a
You
very serious situation because when you look at engineering in the United States, when you look at engineering training in the United States, this is a very sad state of affairs. The majority of the students that go into engineering are not Americans. They come from China, they come from India. Now, the Chinese women are every bit as masterful in handling the situation as any man. However, when you look at the Indian subculture, however, now it's completely different. Indian women are much more submissive. The same is true for the Arab women. Oh, no. I'm speaking from experience.
All right, well, let's not have a debate now. Laura, this was your worst mistake, by the way, tonight, is to put it back in his mouth, but seriously, no.
Well, then let's behave professionally.
Right,
Let's take it back down.
right, so-
Behave professionally as adults. Let me ask you another question, since...
No, but let me just finish that. So
No, I'm going to ask you a question. The other faculty members, are they all male? Or are there half female, half male? What's the ratio of male to female engineering professors?
Yeah.
The majority are men. The
Okay,
head of our faculty is a woman.
well, that's
The
encouraging.
dean of the university is a woman.
That's also encouraging.
So it's a question of their desire to go into the field. It's not that they're kept away, but the problem is that there's a cultural component which suppresses some women.
Are you the only faculty member who is experiencing this? What is this comment?
Not all. I'm on the admissions committee, and we're fostering the admissions or the consideration of bringing more women into the school. STEM is, we have individuals working strictly with STEM.
Yeah.
But the problem is, a lot of American kids are not interested in STEM.
We need career counseling in high school to encourage girls to go into that field.
Well, I'm going to
Starts in
interject.
grammar school and high school.
I agree with you. I'm going to interject here because we've got to turn it over to others who may want to ask a question. But the track that we're on is to pursue the education and training of not only the building trades, but related trades, engineering, architecture, whatever. Because, you know, I'm a chemistry major at Fordham by education. At least I started that way. And when I heard that you were into chemical engineering, you know, the solutions are formulaic, and somehow the problems are always compounded, you know. But anyway, we intend to address those issues and address them aggressively with a combination of education and programs. We have a modest foundation that I intend to put to work on the serious issue of skilled labor, skilled artisans, and skilled professionals. Any other questions? Any other questions? Did we scare you? Well then, if there are no other questions, I'm going to call my colleague Maggie Collins up to kind of wrap it up and to thank our panel. Oh, and by the way, we just celebrated, and Jeff actually slipped me $20 to mention this. We celebrated our first year anniversary on the air at WVOX. Jeff has been the master of ceremony. This radio show is a terrific forum for any member out there in any profession, including this whole crisis of the education for the future of this country in so many disciplines. So
There's your new show, Jeff, for next week.
So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Maggie.
And 4 of our panel members have been on the radio show. So
This is true.
And those are great radio shows. They wonderful job. So you can go on our website, okay, and find them and listen to them. If you're interested, please do. So my closing remark actually just consists of a statistic. And I'm going to ask you if you have any idea of how many percentage of women-owned firms in the United States.
How many?
There's
Just
11.6
repeat that
million
question.
firms. I just looked this up. There's 11.6 million firms owned by women. 4.2% of them that are owned by women have gross revenue of over $1 million.
Oh, that's so
That's
interesting.
very low.
Okay, I have
Very
a
low.
slightly different one, but that's
Yeah.
actually better than mine.
But the pay
Bureau,
difference,
I'm sorry.
the pay difference in construction is a lot less than any other field.
Yes.
Women get paid about
Absolutely.
97%.
97.5%.
Yep.
Right, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So 13% of construction firms are owned by women-owned, 13%. And 9% of you bring in revenues of over $500,000 as opposed to 8% of the rest. So it's looking good. It's low, but it's improving.
Improving.
That's nice. So here's a crazy one. This isn't really a statistic. This is the Rockefeller Foundation, and as you know, they do all sorts of interesting polling. And you've probably heard this, 1 in 4 Americans think it's more likely that humans will colonize Mars than that half of the Fortune 500 will be women. I think that we can pretty much disagree with that, with what we've heard here tonight, the candid nature of it. And just to sum it up, thank you so much.
Thank
Really,
you.
this was unique.
Thank you.